years ago, I must have been 17, so it was many years ago. I might have been 18. I was going through the Capitol one day, and I happened to bump into this guy, and he said, "Excuse me," and I turned, and it was Governor Brown. I know, I bumped into the governor. The scary part was he introduced himself to me because I didn't recognize him, and I introduced myself to him. He asked me what I was doing that night, and I said, "Going home, nothing." He says, "Would you like to come to a dinner?" I got invited to a dinner by the governor. It was so exciting. And then I got home and decided, what am I going to wear? This is a formal event, and I have no clue of what to wear. I don't know anything about etiquette. I didn't have a clue of what to do. I had a real big problem, and maybe you can sense the same feel when you go in to become a public speaker and you have no idea what the rules are. And here was my biggest dilemma. I knew it was going to be like this. There's 4 forks. I live in Rio Linda. In Rio Linda, we have a fork, a knife, a spoon, and a water glass, or a Pepsi, and that's it. And having all this extra silverware and all these glasses, I knew that I had no idea what to do. And so it became very emphatic for me within the next few minutes before I left. Dressed in, I had no suit. I had a sweater and a white shirt, and that's what I wore. I felt a little bit out of place when I got there. But having the principles of what all of this was about, everybody knows which glasses are which and everything, right? You know what this fork is for? Does anybody know? Okay, so I'm not...
Shrimp.
I'm definitely not alone. This is an hors d'oeuvre fork, and this is a soup spoon, and this is your regular knife, although there may be 3 knives on your plate. One of them is here, one of them is up there on the butter plate, and the other one is alongside this here. On the other side, you have 2 forks. It's not so you can be a double fister. It's because the one on the farthest left is your salad fork, the same as these. You keep working in, and they keep taking your silverware and your first plate and your second plate away, and you still have a full set of silverware. It was this part that became my confusing part until somebody said it's real easy. It's like red, white, and blue. But this is your champagne glass. The first one is your wine glass, which is white wine. The second one is red wine, and then the far one on top is a water glass. Very simple. I didn't drink any wine, so I simply pushed those glasses out of my way and pulled the water glass towards me, and nobody ever asked me if I would like wine. I thought that was so cool. And that is what formalities are all about. Everybody good with that? Let's see if I can make this work. Remember I told you last week about using one of these? No, it doesn't work. There it is. So there's your rules. There's all of your, it did work. There's all of your plates and your knives and forks and everything in correct order. This one here, this little chart here only had 3 glasses up there instead of 4. I'm going to do this. So a little bit about etiquette and what, so you can feel a little bit better. Do you know the difference between a lectern and a podium? Does anybody know? The difference between a lectern and a podium, yes.
A podium is a full standing one, and the lectern sits on top of a desk.
Mm-hmm. Aaron, you had your hand up too?
So a lectern is where you'd also keep your notes that you have on it.
Mm-hmm.
Where a podium would be more, it'll be like raised a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Speech on too.
Mm-hmm. Right. And it's common to interchange both of those words. However, there's another meaning of the word podium. Do you know what it is? Does anybody know the other meaning of the word podium? Lee? No?
Does it have to be power, or it's just power?
The podium is that short stage that the speaker stands on when he speaks. So this is a podium. This is also a podium. This is also a lectern because it's where you put your notes. Simple? Okay, now you know the difference. Where should your podium be placed? I noticed that you have yours here. Is there a reason that it's here? Yes?
So it doesn't block the screen right here.
Okay. And this is really cool. You guys have it really made because this is very unique and unusual. You always have the capability of using a projector. In most Toastmasters clubs, they don't have this type of a luxury. They would hold up a piece of paper and hope everybody can see it. How do you control the lectern? Who controls it? Do you know what it means to control it? When you are the person who is presiding, you control the lectern. And when you invite, let's say, the Toastmaster of the day up, you bring him up and you give control to him. However, there is one little form of etiquette that is most appropriate when you change control. Aaron, come up with me for a moment, and I'll give you an example. I'd like to welcome Aaron up here. Excuse me. See the problem? And there's one way that you always do it, and that'll never happen. Please welcome Aaron. So you always walk behind the person that you introduced, because once he has taken control of the lectern, you are second string.
You also kind of guided me towards the lectern.
I did. So that you would know exactly where I wanted you to be. Now, okay, you may sit down now. Now, the difference is, once you have taken the control of the lectern, from here on out, this lectern should never be left empty, except if you were the speaker and you walk away from it, because I still have control of the lectern, even though I walk over here. Because eventually I will make my way all the way back here when I finish my speech and the Toastmaster of the day comes up and takes possession, or I return control of the lectern back to him. Make sense? That's how it's controlled.
Yeah.
Okay, you don't want to go. Okay, there we go. Beginning the meeting. You did it, by the way. I took your picture while you were standing up there and put it up there. You see how I did that? That's pretty cool. I even photoshopped your shirt in. When you begin with your call to order, the first thing that you do really is you welcome everybody out. Great job of that tonight. The next thing that happens is Pledge of Allegiance. And I'll tell you what is interesting about the Pledge of Allegiance is nobody knows when to begin. Right? How do you know when to begin the Pledge of, how do you know when to begin speaking?
The leader starts.
What if you can't hear him? Because he will start, and I want you to start with me, okay? Ready? You ready to start? Ready? Okay. I
Pledge allegiance
you
to
missed the first word. So if you would like everybody to begin at the same time, you can have them start at the same time by giving them some kind of a warning. Repeat with me. I pledge allegiance
to the flag.
You got it. See how easy that was? In music, you have a way when you lead music, it's like a standard 4 count. However, for the organist to begin, you start with an upbeat, and they know when to begin. Because if you start down, you're already down at the bottom and the organist hasn't started, or the pianist hasn't started. So it's the same thing. You give them some kind of a notice to where they will know when to begin. And then, after you're done with the pledge, you introduce the president. The president carries the meeting. Good? Anybody have any questions about that? How come you didn't go there? There we go. Introduce the president. PowerPoint is supposed to always work. They never do. For your welcome and your introductions, the first, pretty cool, huh? First thing you do is you introduce your guests. I'm a guest here because I'm not a member of your club, but I didn't get introduced tonight, but I am your speaker, so that's cool. But always make sure you introduce your guests. And here's the key. We've got 2, 4, we have 7 here in the club today. Wouldn't it be nice to have like 15, 18, 19, 20? That'd be awesome to have 20 students in here. The way to do that is to give them an incentive to come back. And the way you give them an incentive is to make them feel like they're involved. Now, the key about Toastmasters is that everybody has some kind of a part. And everybody tonight that has a part has already been a speaker tonight. You stood up and you have spoken your role. And if you can get a visitor to simply stand up and say, "Hi, I'm Bob, I'm alcoholic." Oh, wrong class. You can get them to say something, and when you do, they have just become involved like everybody else. At the end of the meeting, "Hey Bob, how did you like our meeting today?" "Oh, it was great." Got him again. So he's already been a speaker in your club twice on the first visit. Invite him back. Ask him what he wants to get out of Toastmasters. Why did he come in? His speech goes on a little bit longer and longer, and he feels very comfortable. So that's really important about acknowledging guests. Any VIPs like your area governor or things like that, that's good too. And then finally, you want to introduce the Toastmaster of the day, and then he carries the meeting. Good with that part?
Mm-hmm.
Always include the introduction form. How'd you like my introduction form? Was that good?
Yeah.
It's better than saying, "Bob, what was your speech on?" Okay. So if you will prepare and write up your own speech form, your introduction form, exactly how you would like him to introduce you, the things you want him to say, the things about the speech that tells what your objectives are, bam, you've got it. The next thing is the speaker's name, the topic, I already put that in there, the title of his speech, the objectives of his speech, and finally the delivery time or the speech time. Now I included that, all of that information in my own introduction. There are some, in the ways of etiquette, there are some things that you should never do. And it's like most of the things that we do in Toastmasters it's all positive. But we have to be careful because there are things that we should not do. And number one is we should never upstage the speaker in any way by saying anything that would make him a little bit less of a speaker. You should never reveal the contents of his speech unless he has already told you, like in the introduction. You should never surprise the guest speaker by saying something awkward about him. And you should always praise the speaker, but never praise the speaker. Oh. Don't use cliches. And finally, and most important, is never wait to name the speaker. You know what that means? Tonight our speaker is one who blah, 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 and he's done blah, 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 and 4 minutes later, please welcome Bob. Rather than doing that, sometimes you may want to think that it's better to save their name till the last. Not always. In fact, that's why I put my name at the front of this one, so that you would know who it is that's speaking, and then you knew all of the qualifications or the reasons that they're speaking, rather than keeping it as a surprise. Now, as the speaker, you have some things that you need to do etiquette-wise. Have you ever been to You couldn't? Oh, I'm sorry. Make sure Lee can hear you, because otherwise he's going to go to sleep. Can you hear me okay? If you speak faster, 12 words in a very short period of time, even though it's loud enough, it's not understandable. So slow down just a little bit and make sure that you project to the very back person in the row. You guys haven't done a speech contest yet, have you?
We have. We have.
Okay. And you're going to do another one again in January, right? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Here's some key things about speech contests. Number one.